is Sigmund Freud? Sigmund Freud is a well-known man often acknowledged as the father of psychology. He was born in 1856 in Czech Republic. Weirdly enough, he thought of himself as more of a scientist than a doctor. He was eager to find out inner workings of human thoughts, experience, and behavior. What made him most famous, however, were his rather strange theories. Some of these theories were psychoanalysis, a method through which an analyst figures out the unconscious conflicts based on associations, dreams, and fantasies. Psychosexual stages of development, the id, ego, and superego, and the Oedipus complex. Most of these theories were extremely controversial because they all related to sexuality and people couldn't understand how personality theories were related to it. Freud died in the year 1939 after fleeing Austria to escape the Nazis. He died from a suicide after requesting a fatal dose of morphine following a long-term battle with oral cancer. Now moving on to his theory. Let's begin with the theory of the conscious and unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is a salad bowl of feelings, thought, and memories that have been shut out of our consciousness. Reason being is that most of the time they are the ones that we do not want to be aware of. They are unpleasant feelings of pain, anxiety, conflict, and stress. The unconscious mind influences daily behaviors and experiences, even though we are unaware of how and why it is influenced. So if that's the unconscious mind, what is the conscious mind, you may ask? Well, you guessed it. It is the exact opposite. The conscious mind is everything we are aware of and can draw out whenever we need to, so we can think and talk about the things in our conscience specifically and rationally. A part of the conscience is memory. Other parts include sensations, perceptions, feelings, and fantasies that are bearable, even though some might be painful. Whatever the conscious wants to keep away from awareness is what the unconscious holds through a process called repression. Your conscience, which is only 10%, analyzes, thinks and plans, and short-term memorizes. Your subconscious is the rest of the 90%, which is your long-term memory, emotions and feelings, habit patterns, relationship patterns, addictions, creativity, development, spiritual connection, and intuition. For example, when you were young, your parents passed away in a car crash. Now, as a young adult, you find yourself unable to commit in a relationship. Feelings towards your parents' death are so painful that you have been repressed into the unconscious. From it, you developed a fear of abandonment that you were unaware of. This affects your ability to commit into long-term relationships. Another important theory of his is the id, ego, and superego. We are all made of three crucial parts that can explain our behaviors and experiences. The id is the part that wants whatever feels good at the time with no consideration for reality. Freud described the conflict between three parts of our minds. The id, driven by the pleasure principle, and the superego, driven by desire to follow the rules and do the right thing according to society. And the ego, which somehow has to accommodate the other two. When a baby needs their diaper changed, they cry. Or when a child does not have access to their toy, they cry. These are the results of the id because the children want what they want when they want it. During childhood, the id helps achieve basic needs. The ego is the part that is based on the reality principle. The ego takes into account people's needs and desires and recognizes that impulsively can hurt them in the long run. The ego looks to satisfy the id while taking into consideration the reality of the situation. The last part is the superego. The superego is a moral part in us. It operates based on the moral and ethical limitations placed on us by many influences. The superego can also be seen as the conscience as it has the same function. In a healthy, strong person, the ego is the strongest, so it can help satisfy the needs of the id while not upsetting the superego. In this situation, Andrew had one piece of cake. Andrew's id will tell him to take another delicious piece of cake because he wants it. Andrew's ego will tell him, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not everyone has had a piece yet. I know it's delicious and tempting, but ask around, see who hasn't had one yet. If they do not want one, then take another. Andrew's superego will tell him not to take another piece. Not everyone has had one yet, so sharing is caring, Andrew. Freud proposed that we are all driven by the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle seeks to ensure pleasure while avoiding pain. It is used so that even the slightest amount of pain can be avoided, especially when it has to do with psychological weakness or vulnerability. Therefore, decisions made with the most input from the id are based on the pleasure principle. A lot of people say that Freud's theories were nothing but lies and were inaccurate.
We could still reject his work, of course, but as Freud said, no one who disdains the key will ever be able to unlock the door. We could all use a bit more of Freud's ideas to help us unpick ourselves.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Sigmund Freud in a nutshell. Thank you.